Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Adam Interviews. I'm Adam Chodak, and we are on a good run here. We're continuing to talk to wonderful people in our community who are doing wonderful things. And so far, I think it's been a learning experience for me, finding out all the different corners in which there's talent and there's great things going on. Today is no different. And this goes back to 2000, when I had my first TV internship in Rochester, and I went out to cover a story with a photographer, and we went to High Falls. Again, this is 25 years ago, and they were having a press conference to talk about some development that was going to be happening. I think it was over at Brown's Race or something like that. And they were saying, all right, High Falls is going to be the IT center in Rochester. And of course, I'm sitting there looking out over the waterfalls and, High Falls and going, of course, how could it not be? 25 years later, it is without a doubt a popular spot. You got cool places on the west side. You go over the Pontarren Bridge. You go, how do I live here? How do more people not know about this? And then you go to the Genesee Brew House, which is a great experience, great food, great view, all of that. At the same time, it does not attract massive crowds. And that could change because, as we've been talking about for years now, there is going to be a state park coming in. And I have been fascinated by this because, like the folks in San Antonio, I want to experience the river. And I think you can really only experience the river by being close to it. And that's hard to do in downtown Rochester. You can get a great view, but you can't touch the water or be close to it. And again, that's about to change with the state park. And this week, they finally released the framework, if you will, some very detailed plans of what this could be looking like. And I want to walk through that with you. And to help me do that, we are joined by Vinnie Esposito with the state. Vinnie, thank you so much. We really appreciate you joining us here.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Adam.
All right. So before we get to the map, your thoughts now that the pictures, the plan is out there, just your almost emotional reaction when you kind of see the renderings and you see what could happen over the next few years.
Well, that was a great intro, by the way. You really set the table perfectly. But yeah, the framework plan that we released this week, I think is really starting to become real for people. You're starting to see and starting to envision what a park in this very special place at High Falls is going to look like. And so it's exciting for me. This is the culmination, not the culmination, but a very important milestone of years of work to identify, as you say, for 25 years and even longer, people thinking about ways to make this special spot, these waterfall in downtown Rochester, something more special for the city and for its economic sort of benefit. We've been working for about 7 years now on the Rock the Riverway initiative, which is a really strategic vision that the city and state put together to fund improvements to that river waterfront in downtown Rochester, where we know there's so much more potential. And the next big step in that is High Falls State Park. And that's what we've been working on with a wonderful team of design consultants and the incredible leadership of the New York State Parks Department for the last 3 years since Governor Hochul announced that this spot was going to be a new state park, which is a really special undertaking. So this week's a good milestone. It's great to be with you and talk about it further.
Oh yeah. So before I'm scrolling to the perfect picture here, and before we get to it, I want to ask you about the timeline, which of course everybody's asking about. So
Sure.
The framework is out. Could we see shovels hit the ground late next year? Is that even a possibility?
Yeah, that's the plan. Certainly this is, I think, important to say, a long-term project. We are designing and going to build a park that is going to be a special place for people for generations. So it's not quick. To my frustration, and I know to the frustration of a lot of other people who would like to be able to get down there and enjoy it right now or years ago. Hopefully we make improvements starting next year. We'll be building and opening the park in phases, basically starting with the falls, moving northward, really as the properties that are going to be part of the state park down in the gorge are cleaned, because the thing we're dealing with is that this site, these falls, have been used for a lot of different industrial purposes for the last several hundred years that have really made Rochester what it is. But with those industrial uses, there's been a lot of contamination. And so cleaning those parcels, making them safe and suitable for people to access and for a park to be, is a long-term effort, let alone the effort of building the park. So we're working on this. It's multi-years. We're going to start next year with hopefully shovels in the ground and really expect the work to be completed around 2032, which I know sounds like a long way off, but for something this special and for this long-term, I think it's worth the wait.
All right, before we get into who's paying for what and all that, I just want to get right to this because these pictures really kind of like hit me.
They start to open the imagination.
Yeah. So here's the first one here.
Yeah.
You're going to see my big mouse cursor here.
Got it.
To help. But like, is this the river? I mean, is this what we're talking about? Is this the river right here?
Yeah. So this is what will be a brand new pedestrian bridge over the river, right about the where Smith Street Bridge is overhead. And it's going to connect the two large parcels within the gorge that will contain the crux of the state park. So what's really special about this park is this is not just trying to enhance the entertainment districts that you talked about that have been in the past up above the park. This is getting people into the gorge at the river level, at the base of the falls, where public has not been able to access for hundreds of years.
Wow, exactly. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, you see it, but it's one thing to feel it. So before, you know what, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go all the way back up here because I think we need to kind of see what we're talking about here. The
falls are on the right.
On the right
which
here.
is south.
So right.
Yeah, and then as you move left, you're moving north. So the brewery is right above where your arrow is. Okay. And this gives you a sense for some of the elements. And the first things you'll notice are this park is being designed not to be overly programmed, but to be a natural refuge in the gorge, to be able to be in the middle of a city at the base of a waterfall and to restore the historical ecology, to celebrate the industrial past and give people an opportunity to really reflect on all of that when they go down into this space that they've never been before. So it's going to be a lot of flexible purpose use, like lawns, amphitheaters, different types of paths to access. We have 10 different entry points into the park. And so it's gonna be really unique. There are urban parks. Of course, we have an incredible system of parks that are city and county owned, but there's not many urban state parks in New York, and there's certainly not many that have an 80-foot waterfall as their highlight. So this right here is the framework. It shows you the main elements. And it's what we're working off of as we get into the next stages. Yeah,
so according to the big arrow, this is where the waterfall is right here? Okay.
You got it. Yeah.
And are we going to be able to walk? So this is where the train is. We're not going to be able to walk over that, are we?
So the train is right where the arrow is right now. So the part you see that's green is the public space in between the brewery and the falls, which is currently a city park. It's called High Falls Terrace Park. Okay. That will wind up being the only part of the new park, the new state park, that is up above the gorge at city level. Everything else
number
you
26,
see,
right?
Yep. Everything else you see is down in the gorge. So we are going to be transferring that park from the city to the state and improving it. We're going to make it more conducive for events. There's going to be a little more parking, and most noteworthy, right there where you see that yellow dot right below the 26 is going to be a brand new extended overlook, because that is the best and closest view from above of the falls. And it's going to really enhance the experience people already have when they go to the brew house, to want to be able to walk along the improved Brewery Line Trail, which we improved a couple of years ago, and really be able to experience the falls and connect it with the city in a way like it hasn't had for a very long time.
All right, so then you go over to the Ponte Bridge. Will that will remain, I'm guessing?
Oh yeah, the Ponte Bridge has also been one of those Rock the Riverway projects that's been improved in the last few years.
And that then remains. Re-improved after there was a little...
Yes, and re-improved, that's right. Nothing's perfect, but it's still, we've stabilized that bridge. We've made improvements to it. We will get it right. There's no better vantage point than just being out on the bridge. And even all by itself, that's a special space. But to now make it so that you can take it, go to the other side of Brown's Race, to walk down through a switchback path that goes over the old BB station ruins. So it wasn't that long ago that there was that massive station that RG&E ran called BB Station that came down. I think it came down in 2018 or 2019. We're now going to take the foundations, which you see, which really are ruins, and allow you to walk down into the park through those with interpretive elements that allow you to understand that history. You start to see the old mills from the 19th century, the race tails that were the spots where the waterfalls fall through the gorge wall to power those mills are still in those gorge walls. All those things are elements that we'll be able to enhance and celebrate, and will be part of then, when you get down into the gorge, a really beautiful oasis where we'll be really restoring the ecology of what used to be in the Genesee River Gorge.
Before I get into why we're naming something Incinerator Park and where that is,
I love it.
We have so basically 21 here. That is the south lawn. Are we going to get close to the water's edge right here?
Yeah. So 22 and 24 are overlooks that you will get
Okay.
so close to the edge you will feel the mist of the falls. So those are things that
Okay, so
most people have never experienced.
Yeah,
So-
never.
So right above that, you'll see another little yellow dot on the
Okay.
island.
Yeah.
So if you keep going up from there,
Yeah.
you see a yellow dot right about there.
Yeah.
That's a new overlook because there's that island down in there that's
Yeah.
part of the river. It's only visible and accessible for parts of the year. And then the other 122 actually exists, but we're going to be enhancing it. And that's the closest point to the falls. So there will be a lot of moments, as we call them, where you can experience the falls in different ways and experience the city in different ways. You'll be below the city level, feel like you're in a different world, but it's just a literally walk away.
Unbelievable. All right, so let's get to, before we head back up, I want to get a kind of a picture of this.
Yeah.
So what would this be? This is...
So this is an example of some of that restored ecological
Okay.
wildlife and plant life that will be brought back into the park. Because if you've looked from the Pontarén Bridge, the brewery, and looked down in the last few years, it's a very post-industrial site. There is some green space, and there's some wildlife, and there's now been some remediation that's occurred on one of the main RG&E parcels, but it doesn't really look like a park yet. It looks like it wants to be a park, but this is what it'll look like after we get down in there. We have all the site cleaned, and we restore some of the plants, some of the trees, and some of the nature to the site. And you'll have opportunities like this to just be in the wild, in nature, right in the middle of the city of Rochester, down in that gorge. So this is
Beautiful.
an example of the northernmost point. And then you kind of move, we designed this like a walk through the park from north to south as you get to the falls. This is an example of a meadow above one of the old tanks that RG&E used during the heyday of the industrial uses down there, right next to what is currently owned by Bausch & Lomb. And this is one of the spots where you'll be able to get as close to the river's edge as probably any. And this is just an example of a deck that could be used as a viewing spot or a learning spot or a whole bunch of other things. But you see in the distance, you see the Smith Street Bridge, you see the very iconic smokestack, which I know we're going to talk about in a minute, and of course you see the Kodak World Tower.
I see.
So it's just an example of really pretty realistically what it'll look like down there.
Yeah, so I'm bouncing Vinnie back and forth here, but just so folks know, so this is the northern point. Not many people visit this area, and I think this is going to open that up. But
that's very close to a very residential neighborhood, and we are putting two gateways there specifically so that neighborhood can access the park very easily.
So cool. The housing prices there just went up within the last hour.
Well, that's an issue. We need to make sure that this is accessible to the neighborhoods, but is not going to gentrify every neighborhood. We do expect this to be a catalyst for a lot of economic development, which we can certainly talk about, but we expect that to be in other parts and not necessarily that very well-established neighborhood where we'll now have, really cool access down in.
I mean, can you imagine owning a house in that neighborhood now?
Yeah.
So anyway, you can start here. And so this is the northern part. Again, I got to do a story with RG&E, one of the stations up north. And, this whole area is really unexplored to a lot of people. Some, they know it very well. But so what Vinnie's saying is you can start here and then just kind of like walk through and then over at certain points, which is really cool, before you even get to the Pontarén Bridge.
The only place you can get over is the new pedestrian bridge, which is right in the middle, number 12. The bridge you see there is actually the old running track bridge. So that's up above.
Yeah.
And that's a city project that we're working to try to extend the El Camino Trail and the Genesee Riverway Trail to connect it on both sides. So it's not currently open to the public. It's an old railway that we're trying to restore. We've stabilized it with some money from the Rock the Riverway Initiative, and we're working to identify additional funding sources. But that will be above the park, just like the Smith Street Bridge and the Pontarén Bridge will be. They'll be looking down. But when you get down to the gorge level, that bridge right there is the new one that will be a pedestrian bridge that connects the two sides.
Okay, very cool. So we might see a third bridge way down the road.
Well, you'll see. So that is there now.
Right, or
it's just not open to the public.
Bridge. Yeah. Okay.
We're doing a bridge up closer to the falls where that island is. There'll be pedestrian bridges as well.
Okay, cool. So, all right, so the thing you were just talking about, where you can get close to the river's edge, what number?
So I think that was probably around number 5 or 6. It was probably 6.
Okay, right around here. Yeah. Wow, look at that.
In fact, if you go to the next slide, it shows the spots of the renderings. There you go. So number 2 is that one you were just showing us.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
All right, cool. And then the incinerator park. Yeah. Are you going to keep that? I think that could be fun.
So it's funny. We a lot of these are, I will call them working names, right?
Yeah,
They're for the design. We are now engaging the public more directly with these things. We had a debate about the incinerator plaza name specifically before we did the public launch. We had a meeting at MCC downtown this week.
Yeah.
And we decided to leave it in there, but make it clear that these are working names. And it has generated more more comments than almost anything else about the framework plan at this point.
It's so
and by and large,
Rochester.
people like it.
Come on.
Because most people didn't know that smokestack that you
Right.
see from everywhere was part of a former City of Rochester trash incinerator.
Right.
And there's a giant building that's in an incredible state of disrepair right there. And what we're hoping to do, if you scroll down a couple slides, is keep some of the walls of the lower levels of that building at the base of the smokestack. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. Right there.
Okay.
And make it a place where
Look at
people can
that.
gather, potentially have food trucks nearby and
Yeah.
tables, and a spot where people can take a break and enjoy. And we played around with calling it Incinerator Plaza, and it's starting to generate some buzz, which is great. We want people to get the creative juices flowing about what this park should be. And we'll probably at some point engage the public specifically on naming the different components. So
this is
that's
pretty
why
cool.
it's called right now Incinerator Plaza. It's to pay homage to the history of that site, which we want to do throughout the park.
Right. And we talk about getting close to the water's edge and touching it. This is going to be open in years and years from now. The cleanliness of the water, is that going to be an issue? I mean, if we're going to have kids kind of potentially playing in it?
I'll say a couple things. First of all, the Genesee River, while wonderful, is not the cleanest river in the world. It's
Right.
not because of contamination. It's just sediment based on the nature of the river. So, the cleanliness is an issue. But what I will say is important as part of this framework plan, we're not going to be having a lot of in-the-water activity in this park.
Okay.
We are still in between two very dangerous waterfalls and in between two working hydropower facilities that RG&E runs. So allowing boating or swimming is not likely to happen.
Right.
There will be some passive access to the water like fishing, but by and large, we'll be able to get down next to the water, but not in the water. That's the way it's planned for those reasons.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've seen enough, even with the access
Yes.
currently.
Yep.
All right, now we're looking at the west lawn here. This is number 5. Would this be near Incinerator Plaza?
Yes, so you can see where the smokestack is. It's
Okay.
a landmark that provides orientation all the time.
Yep,
The
there it
base
is.
of that smokestack is Incinerator Plaza. It's kind of the center point of the park where
Yeah.
we'll see some of the more activity in terms of there's a drop off so you can drive your car down if you need that. There's an opportunity for, like I said, food trucks or some small gatherings to occur there. But then as you move toward the falls, we keep it less programmed, more natural, and more passive. So this lawn, for example, we're not building softball fields or soccer fields or dedicated purpose.
Right.
We're keeping things flexible so people can have a picnic, people can throw a frisbee, people can do a pickup soccer game, but really leave it up to them to utilize these spaces how they see fit.
Yeah, I'm going to actually just show people here just so we have.
So number
where that-
5 is that lawn.
Yep, number 5. Here we go.
Right there.
All right. Yeah, so you got...
So that's the Incinerator Plaza.
Right.
That's the lawn right there. That's the big lawn. And you just, you can see there's different sized paths for
Right.
different modes of access. Some are for cars, some are for bikes, some are for walking, some are really hiking trails. There'll be different ways to access the gorge. And then when you're down in it, there'll be different levels of paths so that we can provide emergency service and maintenance, but also provide some really passive recreation opportunities for people that just want to stroll or do bird watching or things that, you don't want to worry and contend with other types of transportation.
Absolutely. So, all right. I was wondering, because when I go to the Genesee Brew House, I look out over the Pontarren Bridge right down to here.
Yep.
Is this going to be accessible at all?
Yeah, so there will be some remaining RG&E hydro facilities in that area that will be sectioned off, sort of, kind of right around there.
Okay.
But the most of it, what you can see the path and you can see that other lawn, that south lawn.
Yeah.
The public will be able to go there as well to that viewing point we talked about that's very close to the falls and to the mist of the base of the waterfall.
Okay, because we see the overlook here, but the overlook will be, I'm guessing, higher up.
So there's 3 overlooks. So there's one right there at the water level. There's one below the arrow at the water level, and then number 9 at the top is over and above.
Yeah.
Going out the current overlook that exists in what is today the city's High Falls Terrace Park.
Right, but you're going to be right. I mean, you're going to be at the base of the waterfall right here. Okay,
you can feel the mist right there.
I think that's key. Again, we talk about feeling connection to it, and that's going to be right there. It just unbelievable. And then right here, this was the big. I think they tore down a building here, didn't they?
So that's where BB Station was. That number 7 is still. If you look even from the brewery, you can see the ruins of that building. It was monstrous, and so we're going to have a path that goes down through it. There'll be a playground playground at the base of it. We expect there to be elevator access very close to that, in addition to the 9 gateways you see here. So there are still several elements we're working on, but there's going to be multiple ways to get down there and things to enjoy once you are, in addition to just the breathtaking beauty of the waterfall.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's keep scrolling. I probably missed some pictures here. So
there's a couple more.
Yeah, all right. I think we covered that one.
Yep, keep
covered
going.
That one. Got Incinerator Plaza.
Yeah, we did that one. So this is an example of what one of the playgrounds could look like. They'll be very nature-themed, nature play. We're going to be working with the Museum of Play as well as the Healthy Kids Network in town that have been designing city playgrounds. But we will have 2 playgrounds on each side of the river.
Unbelievable. And so the playground's geared towards any age, young kids? What are we thinking?
Well, I think it'll be kids of all ages. As I said, there's going to be a lot of nature play elements to it. Yeah. So it's not just about slides and swings. It's going to be rock, formations and climbing and different types of activities that even big kids will like to enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so now we're looking.
So this is that walk that I was talking about that will go through the ruins of the BB station. I think this is one of the cooler entrances into the park. It's a switchback trail. You can see we're restoring some of the woodlands that would be there otherwise, but keeping the the foundation of those old ruins of that station as you go down and enter. You can see the Ponte Ren Bridge in the distance there.
I know I'm supposed to be like a curmudgeon journalist here, but this is like...
It really opens the imagination.
Yeah, this is pretty.
And then this is what that overlook will look like from the island. So this is the front and center view of the falls that no one's been able to access. Not even, honestly, like people who've worked for Argini. This is the island that has some of those old sheds where the old laser show used to be, but this is not accessible right now.
Vinnie, you obviously have been working in tourism and trying to get economic development here for many years.
Yep.
Sometimes... Again, I'm such a layman in this, but we say, oh yeah, Pittsburgh with its neighborhoods, or Pittsburgh with its rivers that run through it. Like, cities become known for one or two things, and that alone draws people to the city. And here I am running around the country going, we have an 80-foot waterfall in the middle of our city. Yeah. I just wonder if this will put us on the map.
It might, and I hope it does. But I want to be clear: the goal is not just to draw massive crowds. This, in this case, is about protecting a very special part of Rochester's history. Honestly, the history before this was even Rochester, cleaning it up and making it publicly accessible. That unto itself is an incredible accomplishment. I think it will be transformational in that it will bring people downtown from the region and beyond that otherwise won't come. Yeah. But we're really also designing it so it's a special place for the neighborhood that's nearby as well. Fair. And so, there is no doubt that this is a very unique asset that Rochester has, to have a waterfall of this magnitude in its downtown and to be completely almost hidden from so many people who live here is a tragedy. We're changing that. I give credit to the people who've had this idea for a long time. I give a lot of credit to the Genesee Brewery that when they opened the brew house, brought more people down to see this than probably we ever really thought, to open the eyes of this community and what could be down here. And I'm really excited to get people down at the gorge and to make it a public space for everyone, because state parks are that. They have that brand for good reason. They are incredible stewards of special parts of our state. And for now, this to become something that for generations will be enjoyed by all walks of life for free, to not have to pay anything to go down and access and enjoy is a special thing, and I think it will lead to more great things for the city in addition to tourism. I think just in terms of the creativity of what it'll spur at the gorge up above is limitless, and is really what was intended with that Rock the Riverway vision, is to connect people back to the river and to bring about projects like this.
So it's too bad, by the way, there was a building right here. It's too bad that whoever owned it let it go into disrepair and they tore it down several years ago. That would have been an interesting...
there's not many buildings left down in the gorge at all, which is unfortunate, but also presents that opportunity to bring what I like to call that oasis down into the gorge, which is going to be really special. Yeah.
All right. So here's my next question. So now let's look at this. So you guys are also, Rock the Riverway obviously is working south of the High Falls.
Most of the main projects,
You've got the Constellation building out with the park there. You've got the Broad Street Bridge. You've got the stuff around Dinosaur working. Yeah. How are you going to connect this to all of that?
So that's a great question. And what I will say is it's not easy. But we have incredible opportunity, not just with this park, but at the exact same time, there are a couple other really important things happening. First, the Inner Loop North project is progressing, where we are going to be filling in the remainder of the Inner Loop, which goes right to where that arrow is,
you guys know
and
that,
connects right to the corner of the park.
Yep.
We are also working with the city on the Genesee Riverway Trail to improve the trail connections all the way up from here to Lake Ontario.
Okay.
And so what we know is there are a lot of missing puzzle pieces in the Riverway Trail from within downtown Rochester. We have started to improve those. You've seen them by the Dinosaur. We have the skate park where we also improves access. The Constellation opening, the Austin Stewart Plaza improves the accessibility of the trail there. We have funds dedicated to several other parts of the Riverway Trail up to High Falls. Our goal is to make it a much more enjoyable and accessible experience for a pedestrian or a bicyclist to move along the river through downtown to High Falls. That's going to take many years to fully complete, but our goal is to do that, and we have really great designs to do so. With regards to High Falls and downtown specifically, we're designing with the Inner Loop project to be able to use the old raceways, the old tunnels that go underneath the railways, to make those pedestrian connections possible. And it is a really important piece to all of this, because people will come to this park, and making it as easy as possible to get downtown and vice versa is a really big piece.
Is the money slated already at the state?
No, so we've committed an $8 million for the design, which is, we have a wonderful team I mentioned of consultants, and from the State Parks Department working on this for, in earnest for the last 16 months. But we're now moving from this framework that we've launched this week into technical or schematic design. Once we have that this spring, we will start to get more detailed cost estimates, and we'll start to secure funding. But the park will be opened and funding will be secured in phases. So like I said, we hope to start next year with the construction. We looked probably 2032 for this to be finalized. So this is still a multi-year effort. Funding will be secured over multiple years as well.
The cleanup going to be, I was reading it.
There you go. There's the timeline.
There's the timeline right there. All right. The funding for the cleanup, I was reading maybe RG&E, Bausch and Lomb. Are there going to be other people outside of the government that's going to contribute to that?
And the city. So the main property owners in the gorge that have to do cleanup are RG&E, Bausch and Lomb, and the city. Now RG&E has already started. They've already completed, in fact, one of their largest projects that you can see from right below the Pont de Rennes. RG&E and Bausch and Lomb are responsible for their cleanups. The city is obviously responsible for its. The state is helping with the cities. But until those projects are cleaned up, the state won't take ownership and won't be able to build the park. So that's partly why it's taking so long. The remediation is not easy, right? The contamination's from really hundreds of years. There's water contamination involved. You can see a picture right there. That picture shows actually the construction, the remediation of that site that's now completed that RG&E has finished. So, it's a massive effort. That's why this hasn't happened yet. It's not easy with the contamination cleanup that's needed to occur. But it's started. The design process is well underway. The governor's committed to it. She understands, how transformative this is going to be for Rochester. And it's really exciting to be able to have another public milestone this week to talk about it and have people react to it.
Yeah, this is just, I think you said it best. It just opens up the imagination. And I know nothing about park design. I read a book.
Well, me either, even though I've been playing and having fun with the team of professionals that are doing it.
Yeah, but you keep it open and people's imagination will run wild. So Vinnie Esposito with the Empire State Development, thank you so much for coming in and kind of walking us through this. This is very exciting. We'll hope that it happens, but it looks like the train is solidly on the track.
We're well on our way. Yeah, this is exciting. Thank you for having me.
All right, Vinnie Esposito chatting with us today. The framework is out. So if you go to the website right now, we're going to have the link to this if you want to really analyze it, look at all those different points and access, and go from there. That reminds me,
I just want to say, there is an open survey on the website.
Oh, good. Thank you.
HighFallsStateParkNY.com. We have a survey so you can officially respond to these framework plans and then give us your input.
Very good.
Sorry.
No. That's what you're here for. Excellent. So hop on there if you want to give your input, and maybe head down there now to see, get a before and after kind of in your mind, and also maybe grab a pint if that's something you're interested in. So anyway, with that, thank you all so much for joining us once again for the Adam Interview segment. We hope you can join us next week as we continue to bring in folks who can talk about what they're doing and what's happening in our area. So far, we have really drawn, like I said, from all different corners of our community, and it's been a learning experience for me and hopefully for you. So tell your friends and family about the Rochester First Streaming app and the Adam Interviews segment. All right, everyone, take care. We'll talk soon.
Get the Rochester First Streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.